Welcome to Voices from Israel, brought to you by JNF UK, the UK's longest-standing charity supporting Israel. Since October 7th, JNF UK has been deeply involved in Israel's recovery efforts, including our work supporting vital mental health organizations, responding to what has become one of Israel's most urgent and ongoing needs. Several of these organizations are a lifeline to survivors of the Nova Music Festival, whose trauma continues long after that devastating day. This brings us directly to the extraordinary and the immensely impactful work of our guest this evening. Yariv Mozer is an Emmy Award-winning filmmaker and the recipient of the Television Academy Honors Award for his Paramount Plus feature documentary, We Will Dance Again. We Will Dance Again was recently honored with the Rose d'Or Awards, one of the most prestigious accolades in international television. Yariv is also a recipient of the Israeli Film Academy Award for Ben Gurion Epilogue and the Israeli Television Academy Award for Amazon Prime's The Devil's Confession, The Lost Eichmann Tapes. He is also a board member of the Israeli Academy of Film and Television and a lecturer at Tel Aviv University's Tisch School of Film. Yariv, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Before we begin, I'd like to offer a content warning. During our discussion, we will show short clips from the film that include highly distressing and graphic footage. Some viewers may find this difficult, and I will always give advance warning before any footage is shown, so you can choose whether to watch or not. Now, let's go back to the beginning. Yariv, what originally drew you to creating films so deeply connected to Israel and its people?
First of all, good evening, and thank you very much for having me and for joining and listening and viewing whenever you will view. I know it's being recorded. So thank you very much. And to say as an Israeli, thank you for your contribution to the JNF. I know JNF is helping a lot to the state of Israel and to us as the Israelis and the Jewish people. I'm always saying that being a documentary filmmaker, I'm digging in my own identity to what makes me curious, what inspires me, what is turning something inside of me, to start working on a film. It's such a long journey and so many efforts and challenges. So it's always something connected to my personal life story. Now, you could say how Ben Gurion or Eichmann, the Devil's Confession, or now the Nova Music Festival massacre. I live here. My life is based in Tel Aviv, in Israel. I'm part of this country. My country is important for me, and it's part of my identity. So Ben Gurion was something that I was raised upon. I'm a third generation of Holocaust survivors, my grandparents, and the 7th of October was a devastating day that made me, I wanted just to do something, to be able to take my camera, or the cameraman came with me, and just to be there present to what happened. That I was there almost 2-3 days after the massacre. I was already in the south of Israel when it was clearly still a place of danger. There were still terrorists, but it didn't matter for me. I wanted to be there and see it in my own eyes and start doing this documentary.
As almost as a witness of what's going on,
witness the remains of this massacre, which I heard in my ears, but I wanted to, as a documentary filmmaker, to be there present and to feel and see with my own eyes. And it was like nothing I've seen in my life.
So that's actually, it brings me to my next question, which is, can you tell us about your personal experience of October 7th and how that day affected you?
I was here at my apartment in Tel Aviv, like It was Saturday morning. The sirens started. I was looking for a shelter. I don't have a safe room in my apartment, so I'm going outside for the staircase and opening television, starting to understand what is evolving. And at those moments, I understood that something big is happening, and I want to be able to contribute, to do something, to, it's like in many cases in my career in which I just stepped forward and started doing something. So I couldn't take my car and just drive south. It was a closed army zone or, a war zone. So I started texting with people I know from the military. I'm a reserve officer, and I know personally the IDF spokesperson back then, Hagari.
Daniel Hagari.
Yeah, Daniel Hagari. And I started texting with him, and I started convincing him, I know that you're giving priority to news reporters and journalists, but documentary films, although being out there the last, this is what will become part of history. So please give me the opportunity to get as close as possible. And after 2 days, I was accompanied by a commando unit to the site of the massacre. And with the cameraman Nir Maman, who joined me and worked with me on many films, we were there for a few days, just documenting every site of the massacre, which was extremely hard, like nothing I've seen, as I said. The smell was horrible. The sights, thank God there were no bodies of Israelis, only of terrorists still lying down in the fields. But it was, you could understand immediately, it was shocking, it was traumatic.
So to get a bit of that experience, and you conveyed it very clearly in your film, we will show a short clip from it. Some viewers may find it too distressing, so please feel free to mute or look away. No matter how many times I see it, it's always seemed like it can't be real. There are many horrific stories from that tragic day. Why did you choose to focus on the Nova Music Festival?
It was one of the producers on board this documentary was the head of the documentary channel in Israel, Rinat Klein. And Rinat said from the beginning of this whole thing, she said, something in this story, specific story of this music festival will generate attention outside of Israel, internationally, without involving politics. Because from the very beginning, people started talking, and there were, as you may know, as everyone know, there were a lot of pro-Palestinian, which I couldn't even understand and imagine, but blaming the soldiers, blaming the people who live there. But what can you say about youngsters coming to dance for peace and love in a music festival, which was an international music festival that happened to be in the south of Israel? Most of the kids didn't even know where the location is because it's published on the day of the party. So only in the morning they understood where they are. How can you even blame them for being there? And we had the feeling that this story will travel, will get outside of Israel, will be known and shown. And eventually this is what happened. I mean, to have the BBC co-producing this film with us, to have Paramount Plus in the US, to have this shown in numerous countries, and young people to identify with young Israelis, not only Israelis, as I said, international people that came from all over the world to dance and have fun and celebrate peace and love and other amazing values, and just to find themselves targets of this brutal massacre. I think that this what made this film so unique.
So from the beginning, from the start, you immediately thought about advocacy for Israel. You saw the need.
It wasn't advocacy for Israel. You know, I'm a documentary filmmaker. I don't see myself as a spokesperson for the Israeli government, for the Israeli policy. First and foremost, I'm obliged to bring the truth out there. I felt from watching the news, from hearing the stories in social networks, I felt people are not, they do not see the truth in front of their eyes. They're being fed up with propaganda, with lies, with manipulations, but no one is dealing with the facts. And I think that this is one of the duties of us as documentary filmmakers, to bring the story as it was. And what I did in this film, when people will watch it, they will see that it's being built from two angles all the time. The angle of survivors, which remarkably use their own cell phones to capture the violence in front of them, which is partly part of the fact that they are this part of the generation. I wouldn't use my phone in this kind of a situation. And horrifically, the terrorists were capturing those horrific moments in their own GoPro cameras, which was very hard to get and obtain in the film because none of the Israeli authorities wanted to collaborate with us. We didn't get it officially, not from the army, not from the police. The excuse.
So how did you?
Numerous. Israel is a small country. We know people who know people, and you get your hands on the right hard drive. And when you place those two authentic sources of footage, one next to another, and you hear the survivors speak and tell their story, you cannot latil safek, how would you say it?
To doubt.
To doubt their stories. It's 100% real. It's authentic. This is the truth in front of your eyes. And I think that this is what is being mentioned in all the awards that we are being given, that it's more than just a piece of a documentary. It's part of, it's an historical document that preserves a piece of reality to watch.
And that's what makes it so important. And how did you select the stories that appeared in the film? Because I'm sure there are so many, and how can you even pick and choose, sort of?
Yeah, it's part of the process of doing such a film. I met many survivors from the party with a big research team and the producers and production that supported the work on this film. A good and professional team that worked with me. Cinema is always a teamwork. And we met many survivors, and we had to choose the ones, first of all, that had some pieces of footage or something to back them. This was one criteria. The other thing is I didn't want the stories to overlap or repeat themselves. So each brought a different angle, and this way you get the big picture and the scale, which was enormous. I mean, there is no other terror attack like this in modern history of a cultural event being targeted from so many angles in such a big scale. So by getting many characters in one film, and this was the challenge, the task that I wanted to take upon myself, to bring at least 15 characters that share the story from different point of views, you get the big picture.
We are going to show another short clip now from the film. If you find it too distressing, please mute for around a minute. We'll return right after. So Yariv, how did you navigate the sensitivity of interviewing young people who had experienced extreme trauma, as we just saw, and in many cases, ongoing PTSD?
So most of them I met much in advance, building the confidence between us. Each interview took approximately 2.5 hours. You just you build the interview very slowly. I acknowledge the fact that people are returning to their own trauma. I had a psychologist on set, so each interview finished with a meeting with the psychologist just to see that everything is fine and okay. And I must say that the bravery of these survivors is the thing that inspired me in this film. It's them that wanted to share their story, to bring the memory of their loved ones. It was extremely important for them. And this is what gave me and the team that worked with me the strength in doing such a film. I mean, it's hard and it's a burden to come each day to the editing room for approximately 1 year and just live over and over the 7th of October and these stories and everything. But I've always remembered them, the survivors, their spirits, their bravery and an ambition to come back to life, and their their process, the thing that they need to go through. And we are all still friends. I mean, I'm in touch with most of them. We're trying to stay in touch. We're inviting them to see the screenings of the film. They're part of this big family of the film.
That actually leads me to my next question, which I kept on thinking long after I watched the film, and it stayed with me. I would like to know if you happen to know how the survivors who appear in the film, how are they doing today? And if you can share it, obviously.
It differentiates between each one of them. I mean, it's everyone suffered differently and is a different personality. They're all being under psychological treatment and sometimes more severe. I don't want to go into details just to keep their own,
confidentiality.
And it's medical, but I'm really inspired by them. I mean, they're all doing a huge process, and I see them growing back and getting a lot of support from people outside. And also, they do get support from the government, but not only from the state, but from people, from initiatives like from the JNF and other organizations that support the survivors of the Nova. It's not returning back to life in one day. It will take, I think, years. And in a way, the fact that I chose only young people, firstly, because the majority of the party goers in this festival were young people between the age of 20 to 30. And I wanted this film to be the story of this generation. You know, for us in Israel, we always compare it to the 73 war, the Yom Kippur War, which is in a way a war of an entire generation. The Nova, the 7th of October, will be the story of this generation. You meet youngsters in Israel, even if they didn't participate in this festival.
They know someone who went or who lost his life, or so.
It's the story of this young generation that will suffer and take it for the rest of his life. As you said, I'm at Tel Aviv University. My class lost one of their classmates, and they asked to watch the film. We did watch the film. I brought psychologists to this.
Wow.
We had a very powerful conversation afterwards, and I understood completely that this generation will suffer and take the story with him. Another remark I want to end my long answer. The fact that the hostages came back, almost all of them. We have just now one hostage who's not alive, unfortunately. But the fact that the living hostages came back to Israel in October 13, 2025, which was a remarkable day for all of us in Israel, and I think for the entire Jewish people, Jewish nation around the world. This closed the story. Many of them told me, until we will not see the last living hostage from the party coming back, and most of the living hostages that came in the last round of exchange were from the party, were survivors from the party being taken, kidnapped on the day of October 7th. The fact that they came back made this story a closure in a way for all the survivors of the Nova massacre.
100%. One of them, by the way, we hosted here. We had an event with Omer Shem Tov, a released hostage who was kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival. It's also important for me to note that at JNF UK, we recognized immediately how critical mental health support has become since October 7. So we work closely with outstanding organizations in Israel that provide vital care for the Nova survivors. One of these is Safe Heart, a charity dedicated to delivering professional, long-term psychological support to the survivors. And you can learn more about our work and help us support them via the link in the chat box. And now I would like to ask you about the screenings. You went out with this film to the outside world, outside of Israel. How have audiences internationally respond to the film?
I think that in general, in most of the cases, I had very supportive outcome and people encouraging us and giving us positive feedbacks. And the awards, of course, winning an Emmy Award for this film was an incredible moment, not only for my personal career. I don't see it only as this, but also for this film and for the state of Israel. Getting an Emmy Award in this time where so much hatred is towards the state of Israel and the Israeli people and the Jewish nation in general, I think was a moment of a positive moment for the people of Israel. People woke up at Friday morning hearing the news that we received the Emmy was, a day of celebration in a way in Israel, a happy day in Israel for people to have a reason to smile. But there was one moment in the premiere screening in New Zealand in which I've encountered one question from a British journalist, a very known one, which I will not say his name. But he asked me a question which caught me with no words. I was completely in shock. I would try to quote the question. He said, "What do you have to say to those who say that the kids dancing near the border of Gaza are like the family of Rudolf Hess, the commander of the Auschwitz camp in the film The Zone of Interest?" And it was a moment in which, as I said, I'm a third generation of Holocaust survivors. I've never in my life thought that someone will compare us in Israel to the Nazis and Gaza to Auschwitz camp. You could criticize the policy of Israel. You could criticize the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. You could criticize whatever you want. There is no point of comparison to what happened in the Holocaust, to whatever was the situation in Gaza prior to October 7. And he asked the question about Gaza prior to October 7. How do you dare dancing like near the border of Gaza? So he means that Gaza is a death camp, not a concentration camp, a death camp. And
this is the distorted narrative that
yes,
we need to fight.
Distorted narrative that comes from a very vicious point of view. People need to remind themselves that Israel withdrew from Gaza in 2005. Mm-hmm. They chose a path of violence. I don't want to go into politics, but I think that Israel didn't treat the Hamas threat seriously till October 7. But Hamas was growing and building its army to this specific day that they will invade and start a war and do this war on behalf of their own citizens because they knew the consequences of war. So, yeah, it was a shocking moment for me, but it made me understand what do we need to confront outside of it.
Exactly. And so do you feel you've been able to reach many audiences who are not necessarily supportive of Israel?
Definitely. The fact that this film was shown on prime time on the BBC, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. And in Germany and 10 p.m. and in Australia and Spain and the US, it's on Paramount Plus. Millions of viewers, objective viewers, watched We Will Dance Again. And sometimes you get to see on TikTok or Instagram reels of young people that say, since I watched We Will Dance Again, I completely changed my mind on what's ever happening in the Middle East. So this film is eye-opening. This film is showing the truth, and you cannot ignore it or deny it. And I think this film is doing a remarkable thing for the state of Israel, which you told me not to go into politics, but I will just say again that I don't think that my government is doing enough in terms of dealing or fighting what we need to fight outside of Israel in terms of how people see the conflict and how people see Israel.
So I can see you have a real sense of responsibility as a filmmaker, maybe on a personal level. When you go with...
I love my country. I'm part of Israel. I do have criticism towards my country as well. I was part of the people that protested to stop the war and bring the hostages back. But at the same time, I can bring the truth outside of Israel and tell people what happened on October 7. And what do they think would have been the reaction of any other state in the world for such a traumatic day, for such a massacre, such a terror attack.
Exactly.
So as I said, I'm not responsible to be a spokesperson to my government, but I am a documentary filmmaker, and my responsibility is towards the truth of what happened there.
Do you think that now that the intensity of the war has somewhat subsided, that audiences will still have the desire and emotional capacity to watch this film?
It's hard. Audiences around the world, we need to be very sincere about it. All they want is escapism, watch TV to
Forget,
go to
just live their convenient lives without the trauma, without facing what we just saw in the clips.
Yes, but at the same time, I know that when someone would like to see the truth, and when someone will be interested and curious to know what happened, We Will Dance Again is out there for them to see. And for people to say, watch this film. I recommend you to bear this film, watch it, challenge yourself.
We need to be active. We need to proactive in order to, raise the exposure.
People I always say to Jews and anyone who watches us now, just send a link from iPlayer to people to watch the film. That's it. It's a BBC film. Whenever you have, and this is what was so important for us, the signature of BBC made people understand that this film is objective. This film stood by the high standards of BBC and of Paramount and of MGM Studios, international companies that have nothing to do with the state of Israel or with being spokespeople for the state of Israel. No, this is a reliable story. See it and confront it with your own eyes.
100%, I agree. Okay, we're going to move to the last clip from the film. Please remember that if it's too intense, you can mute us for the next 2 minutes. So let's try to end with a bit more of a positive note. What gives you hope right now, both as a creator and as an Israeli?
Oh, definitely. The fact that I've called this film We Will Dance Again. And the fact that these survivors, the young people of Israel in general, the young generation, gives me hope and inspire me every day I meet them. Specifically those that I interviewed in this film, but generally whenever I'm going outside with this film for screenings in the Israeli army or outside in youth organizations, or when I meet my students, this is where I'm believing in the state of Israel. I know that we are facing better days internally and also outside. I think, by the way, that both will meet. I mean, when things will become better inside Israel, it will improve also outside of Israel, the way the world will see us, the way the world will give us another chance and change the way they perceive us. This will happen. The world will also understand that we are in a way fighting their own war, not only our war, but the war of the West. This is something I also believe in. But generally speaking, it's this young generation of the state of Israel that inspires me and gives me a lot of hope.
I full-heartedly agree with that. So many heroes that this war has produced. It's remarkable. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers?
The only thing
we haven't covered.
Something that I believe in and I feel obliged to transfer this message is that I call Jewish people from around the world to come to the state of Israel. This is your place. This is your home. I'm not, as you can see, I'm not religious, but I do believe that the place for Jews from all over the world is to come back to Israel. And my grandma, when she survived the Holocaust and came to Israel, she said, I came back home, although she grew up in Poland. And this is the message I want Jews from all over the world to understand. It's not only supporting Israel from outside, it's coming here to build your life inside Israel. Change the state of Israel from the inside. This is your duty. This is where you will all feel safe as we feel. And this is your responsibility. Come join us here. Live here.
So powerfully articulated. Thank you so much for sharing your voice and your courageous work and important work with us. Through your films, you ensure that truth is preserved, the Jewish identity and Israel are honored, and that tragic day will never, never be forgotten. If you'd like to learn more about our work supporting Nova survivors, as well as our broader mental health initiatives since October 7th, you're welcome to click the link in the chat or visit our website. Thank you to everyone who joined us. Until next time, I'm Dana Zohar, and these are the voices from Israel.